an elf, a man, and a dwarf having the rid mark. Speak quickly!
We track a band of Uruk-hai, westward across the plain. We've taken 2 of our friends captive.
Look for your friends, but do not trust to hope. It has forsaken these lands.
When The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers arrived in 2002, it carried the immense burden of following a cultural and cinematic phenomenon. As the second chapter in Peter Jackson's adaptation of The Lord of the Rings epic saga, it did not merely continue the journey begun in The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. It expanded the scale, deepened the emotional stakes, and darkened the tone of Middle-earth. The story opens not in safety or triumph, but in fracture. The Fellowship is broken. The quest to destroy the One Ring continues, yet the unity that once defined the group has been shattered by betrayal, death, and the relentless pull of power. From the very first moments, the film makes clear that this chapter will not offer comfort. It will test loyalty, endurance, and hope against overwhelming odds. At the center of this vast narrative remain Frodo Baggins and Samwise Gamgee, 2 hobbits who carried the weight of the world toward Mordor. Their journey is no longer guided by Gandalf, whose fall in Moria still echoes painfully, and they no longer have the protection of the full Fellowship. Instead, they encounter a creature both pitiful and dangerous, Gollum. Once known as Smeagol, he is a living reminder of what the ring can do to a soul. Through groundbreaking performance capture technology, Andy Serkis brought Gollum to life with astonishing nuance, crafting a character who was at once grotesque, tragic, manipulative, and heartbreakingly fractured. The internal conflict between Smeagol and his darker persona, Gollum, becomes one of the film's most compelling threads. He is guide and threat simultaneously, leading Frodo and Sam through the treacherous paths toward Mordor while constantly wrestling with his obsession for the precious. While Frodo grows increasingly burdened by the ring's influence, The Two Towers explores psychological corrosion in a way that is far more intimate than the sweeping battles elsewhere in the film. The ring whispers, isolates, and tempts. Frodo's trust in Sam wavers at times, particularly under Gollum's subtle manipulations. Sam, however, stands as the emotional anchor of the story, embodying loyalty and resilience. His devotion is not heroic in the conventional sense. It is humble and unwavering. In many ways, this chapter underscores that the true strength of the quest lies not in grand speeches or swords, but in friendship and endurance. While Frodo and Sam move ever closer to darkness, the rest of the Fellowship faces a war that spreads across the lands of men. Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli pursue the captured Merry and Pippin across vast plains, leading them into the kingdom of Rohan. This storyline introduces a new political and cultural dimension to Middle-earth. Rohan is not an abstract fantasy realm. It is a kingdom in decline, weakened by manipulation from within. King Theoden, under the poisonous counsel of Wormtongue and the distant influence of Saruman, has become a shadow of himself. The arrival of Gandalf, reborn as Gandalf the White after his battle with the Balrog, marks one of the film's most triumphant and symbolic moments. His transformation signals that hope, though battered, has not been extinguished. Gandalf's return reshapes the balance of power. No longer the Grey Wanderer, he carries an authority that commands attention and rekindles courage. His confrontation with Theoden is not simply magical spectacle, it represents the lifting of despair from a nation. Once freed from corruption, Theoden must face the reality that war is inevitable. Saruman, once a wise member of the Order of Wizards, has fully aligned himself with Sauron. From the industrial stronghold of Isengard, he breeds an army of Uruk-hai, stronger, faster, merciless warriors engineered for conquest. The imagery of Isengard, with its furnaces and mechanized destruction of nature, stands in sharp contrast to the ongoing beauty of Rohan, emphasizing the thematic clash between industry-driven tyranny and organic freedom. The march towards Helm's Deep becomes the narrative spine of the film's second half. Helm's Deep is not merely a fortress, it is a last refuge. Women, children, and the elderly gather within its stone walls as Theoden prepares for siege. The build-up to this battle is meticulous and tense. Doubt permeates the ranks. Aragorn, still wrestling with his lineage and destiny, emerges as a leader not because he seeks power, but because he refuses to abandon hope. His relationship with Arwen, glimpsed through poignant memories and expanded in the film's adaptation, adds emotional gravity. Though separated by distance and mortality, their love underscores the personal sacrifices demanded by war. When the Battle of Helm's Deep begins, The Two Towers reaches a level of cinematic spectacle that redefined modern epic filmmaking. Shot largely at night, under relentless rain, the battle is chaotic, brutal, and sustained with astonishing clarity. Thousands of Uruk-hai clash against outnumbered defenders. Practical effects, large-scale sets, and early yet remarkably convincing digital crowd technology combine to create a sequence that feels visceral rather than artificial. The sound design, the pounding drums, the clash of steel, the thunder of explosions immerses the audience in a conflict where survival seems increasingly impossible. One of the most powerful aspects of Helm's Deep is its emotional layering. Young boys, too inexperienced to fight, stand trembling beside seasoned warriors. Gimli and Legolas inject moments of camaraderie and dark humor, yet the gravity never dissipates. The breach of the wall, achieved through Saruman's explosive devices, demonstrates that even the strongest defenses can fall. Despair peaks as defenders retreat into the keep. Yet in Tolkien's world, hope often arrives at dawn. Gandalf's return with Éomer and the riders of Rohan charging down the hillside into the rising sun is not simply a triumphant cavalry moment. It is a visual metaphor for resilience overcoming night. Parallel to this grand battle is another, more understated uprising. Merry and Pippin, having escaped their captors, find themselves among the Ents, ancient tree-like beings led by Treebeard. Initially reluctant to engage in the wars of others, the Ents embody nature's slow patience. However, when they witness the devastation Saruman has inflicted upon their forests, their wrath is awakened. The march of the Ents on Isengard provides a different kind of spectacle, less frenetic than Helm's Deep, yet equally cathartic. Towers crumble, machinery is crushed, and water floods the industrial stronghold. It is nature reclaiming dominance over mechanical corruption. Thematically, The Two Towers operates on multiple levels. It is a war film, a character study, and a meditation on power. Saruman represents intellect corrupted by pride, while Sauron remains an ever-present, almost abstract force of domination symbolized by the fiery eye. Unlike the first film, which centered on formation and fellowship, this chapter dwells in fragmentation and endurance. Characters are isolated physically and emotionally. Frodo bears his burden in near solitude. Theoden doubts his capacity to lead. Aragorn questions his heritage. Even Gollum is split within himself. Yet the narrative insists that perseverance, however fragile, can counter overwhelming darkness. From a production standpoint, The Two Towers showcased technological innovations that would influence filmmaking for years. The seamless integration of digital characters like Gollum with live-action performances marked a turning point in visual effects. The choreography of large-scale battles, the blending of miniatures, referred to as bigatures, with digital environments, and the commitment to practical locations in New Zealand gave Middle-earth a tangible authenticity. Rather than feeling like a studio-bound fantasy, the world breathes with wind-swept plains, towering mountains, and ancient forests. Upon its release, the film was both a commercial powerhouse and a critical triumph. Audiences responded not only to its spectacle, but to its emotional intensity. It earned multiple Academy Award nominations and won for its visual effects and sound editing, affirming its technical excellence. Yet beyond awards, The Two Towers solidified the trilogy's reputation as a singular cinematic achievement, one that respected its literary roots while embracing the demands of film as a medium. The performances anchor the spectacle in humanity. Elijah Wood portrays Frodo with increasing vulnerability, allowing the audience to see the ring's toll etched onto his face. Sean Astin's Sam emerges as perhaps the trilogy's quiet hero, embodying steadfast love in the face of creeping despair. Viggo Mortensen's Aragorn conveys warrior ferocity with introspective restraint. Bernard Hill's Theoden conveys a haunting weariness transformed into renewed courage. And Andy Serkis's Gollum stands as a landmark in performance capture history, blurring the line between actor and animation in a way that elevated the craft. What makes The Two Towers particularly compelling is its refusal to provide complete resolution. Victory at Helm's Deep does not end the war. Isengard's fall does not destroy Sauron. Instead, the film closes with a sobering reminder. The true battle lies ahead. Frodo gazes toward Mordor, aware that the hardest steps are yet to come. The sense of impending climax sets the stage for the return of the king, while allowing this chapter to stand as a testament to survival against the odds. In retrospect, The Two Towers occupies a unique position within the trilogy. It is the darkest installment, the one that tests characters most severely without granting them final triumph. Its exploration of corruption, loyalty, and resilience resonates beyond fantasy. It suggests that in times of division and fear, courage may not look grand or invincible. Sometimes it looks like a hobbit refusing to abandon his friend. Sometimes it looks like a king riding out despite certain defeat. Sometimes it looks like ancient trees deciding that enough destruction is enough. More than 2 decades later, the film remains a benchmark for epic storytelling. Its battles are studied for their staging and pacing. Its character arcs are praised for emotional coherence amid sprawling narrative threads. And its world-building continues to influence how fantasy is conceived on screen. By daring to delve into darkness without losing sight of hope, The Two Towers transformed what could have been a transitional sequel into a monumental chapter of cinematic history. As the camera lingers on the ominous lands of Mordor and the eye of Sauron burns in relentless vigilance, the film leaves audiences suspended between dread and determination. The Fellowship may be divided, but their purpose endures. The journey toward Mount Doom continues, and the cost of that journey becomes ever clearer. In that tension between despair and faith, The Two Towers finds its enduring power, standing not just as the middle act of a trilogy, but as a profound exploration of what it means to stand firm when the world seems ready to fall.